Okay, this video is going to be all about changing the type of wall that we have for our shed. So if you look at our 3D, right now, not very exciting stuff. Actually, the one thing, yeah. So if you look at our realistic view here, you can see we have the shingles on our roof, but our walls are just our plain generic walls, and so we want to actually get some siding on our walls, and then we're going to leave one of the walls with brick. Okay, so to do this, I'm going to go into the floor plan, and I'm going to go ahead and select the walls. There's a couple ways I can do this. I can highlight it and then hold Control, and I can go around and click on all the walls like this. Another way you can do it is highlighting just everything, and then in this Modify tab that pops up, you can select Filter, and you can say, hey, I want to select just the walls, so I can unselect Floor, hit Apply, and then OK, and you can see that it's done that for me as well. So that's an easy way to also select just what you need to select. Okay. Now for our walls, we're going to switch this from basic wall, generic, and let's go ahead and we're going to use brick on MTL stud. Okay. Now you can see right as I select that, those walls get a lot thicker. Okay, that's because we are changing what's in the wall, and you're going to see what that looks like in just a second. So if you look at your 3D view, now like the floor doesn't match up anymore because the walls are now thicker, and you can see that now we have brick on the outside of our wall. And so what we want to do is we're going to leave brick on this face right here, and then we're going to change all the other three sides to siding. Okay. Now to do that, we're going to go ahead and reselect those walls. I'm going to go back into the floor plan here, and I'm going to select these three. 1, 2, 3. I'm just holding Control. Okay, and in here, we want to click on this Edit Type. Okay, so under the Properties, we're going to click on Edit Type. All right, and these are the properties of this wall. Okay, so right now we have our exterior brick on MTL stud. What I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to make my own wall. Okay, so I'm going to click on Duplicate. I'm going to name it whatever I want to name that. Okay, so in here we can name it siding for shed, or shed siding, whatever you'd like, and I'm going to hit OK. All right. So now I've just created its own type. All right. So I'm not changing the old base brick wall. I'm just making my own new one. Okay. So once I've duplicated that and I see my name here, I can then go to Edit the Structure. Okay. And it's going to pop up this new window here. All right. To preview what that wall would look like, you can preview it down here. All right. So as you are looking at your walls, you have your finish, which is your brick, which is 3 inches and 3 5/8 inches, and so that's this red piece right here. You have your thermal air layer located right here. You have the membrane, plywood sheathing, which is right here. Okay, this green is the core boundary, which then gets you into your metal stud layer. Okay, this is where your studs are going to go for holding the structure and the wall up. All right, and then you have your vapor barrier and the wall board. If I zoom in here, here's your wall board or your finish on the inside. Okay, and so that's how your wall is broken down. We're going to take, after we kind of fix this up and you keep moving through this activity, you're actually going to take a cut through that, and you're going to label everything and what you did. And so that's all going to be located right in here. Okay. Now we are going to modify some of these things. So one of the first things that we're going to have to do is, well, first of all, we don't want brick. Okay, so what we're going to do in here is we're going to go ahead and click on these 3 dots, and we're going to get into the material browser. Okay, so right now it's set to brick common. Okay, we don't want that. We're going to want to do some kind of siding, and so if you kind of scroll through the different types of materials that are available, siding is not one of them. However, what is close to siding is this plywood sheathing, so you can use that as your startup. Okay, and so you can end up using this in order to, and we can modify that to get the kind of finish that you want for the actual siding itself. So within here, before we change anything, again, you need to remember to duplicate this first. You don't want to change it before duplicating it. Okay, so duplicate material and assets. Okay, it's going to give you a new thing right here that you can rename. So let's do siding for shed. Okay, and once I have that set up there, it's down here now after it saves. Okay, and now we're going to play around with the appearance a little bit. So right now it still looks exactly like plywood sheathing, and so what we're going to then do is in the appearance tab here, you can see you got a bunch of different information. You have the color that you can play around with, all this other stuff as well. Okay, in the graphics you have options as well. Okay, and so for us, we want to be looking at a surface pattern. Okay, so with siding, we often have horizontal. So I'm just clicking in where it says pattern none, and I'm going to scroll down to where it says horizontal. We're going to do horizontal, just normal, and hit OK. So that's going to give us this lines that look like siding that you would see on a house. Okay. The other thing that we can do is we can play around with like the physical attributes of this. If you know like thermal expansion, some of the other stuff in here, you can also play around with if you want to calculate the heat transfer for your house, which is something that we'll be talking about later on. All these things are in here for you to play around with, so you can actually do those calculations as well. Okay. All right. So anyway, on the graphics, I believe that's what we want here. Oh no, we don't. Okay. So once we have that done, we're going to then open up the asset browser here. Okay. Once you have the asset browser open, I'm going to do like cedar siding. Okay, so what I can do here is just type in cedar. Okay, so here we have wood horizontal cedar. That's this graphic right here. And I'm going to click on this little, these arrows here that's going to replace the asset with what's currently being used. So once I click on that, okay, you can see it's putting that cedar siding over here and still keeping that horizontal pattern. Okay, so that looks like, actually it looks like the siding on my house. I have cedar as well. So I can click on X, and then I'm going to hit the apply button. Okay, so once I hit OK, you're going to see that that has changed this right here within the preview. Okay, now siding here is not that thick. Okay, so we're going to change the side of the size there of that siding. So that's about, let's say, 1/2 inch. Okay, once you do that, and I click kind of over here, you can see it changes the thickness of that siding. Okay, the thermal air layer, we're going to actually just delete that. So I'm going to click on here and I'm going to hit delete. So what you have here is your siding, you have your, let's see here, what else do we want? We need to keep our metal stud layer, which is located right there. We're actually going to put the wood sheathing, we're going to put that down in the core boundary, so I'm going to click on that and hit down. Get rid of this air. This layer right here. Okay, and then now you have your finish on your siding, you have your plywood sheathing, the metal stud layer, which is this thicker area that's located right here. Okay, and then you have your gypsum wallboard after the vapor layer located right here in gray. Okay, and so there, and we can probably just delete this as well. So it looks like this, since these are the ones that have some kind of depth. And all these green ones are your core boundaries here that are just kind of separating that for you. Okay, so we have our siding, which is at 1/2 inch. Our plywood sheathing, we can leave at 3/4. Our metal stud layer, let's see if we want to change that. No, we 3.5. Let's see here. Yeah, we can change that to 3.5. Okay, and then our gypsum wallboard we can change to 3/4 of an inch. Okay, and so that kind of fixes all those sizes up according to the directions that are in the written stuff at least. And I'm just going to use this as my siding. You can do that as well. And then I'm just going to hit OK. Okay, now that's giving you the preview again. Hit OK. Notice it has now changed my wall to that. So let's go to my 3D view and check out what that looks like. So you have our siding. If I want to make it look realistic, save that project again. It's going to ask you to do that. You might as well save if it ever asks you. So when we zoom in here, you can see that that's like that cedar siding, and then we have our brick wall that's on the front still. Okay. Now with the change of the depth here, right, our wall is not lining up with our flooring. Again, the flooring is usually within the wall, but for our purposes here, we're going to go to the outside. So let's go back into our floor level. I'm going to click on that floor, or double click it. All right, I'm going to get these to line up back on the ends of my walls. Didn't mean to click that. Got that back there. Okay, so now that those are lined up, I can hit the check mark. And now when I go back into my 3D view here, everything should be lined up, and my walls are supported by that flooring as of right now. Okay, so I have 3 sides that are the new walling that I just did. So if I click on it, you can see that it has the new basic wall siding for shed. Okay, so that's the name I gave it, and it's also located down here now when you want to use it. Okay. And then this is remaining as the brick wall. So after you get done with that, those are the edits that you have to make in order to get your walls lined up right. And then next comes the wall, the windows and the doors.